On behalf of Stanley Kubrick and birthing persons all over the world, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you a collective Happy Mother's Day. If you get the reference, you're probably a friend of the Reverend's. Happy Sunday, boys and girls. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else's on the planet. They are guaranteed thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to kick your ass. Get ready to choke on that collective truth cock, boys and girls. It's time once again for the Sunday sermon. Hopefully coming through loud and clear. We've got some new stuff to work with, some better equipment, a little more clarity. Still the same old Reverend. Give me the drum roll. All right. So how's everybody digging the new camera and microphone, man? Some of you guys were on board. Well, in fact, Emmy was on board the other day when we were testing this stuff out. As Roman from Opium Tales just pointed out, remember to like and share to get this thing up in the algorithms. To this day, I still have no idea what a fucking algorithm is, but I understand they're pretty important. So we'll just roll with that. I generally leave that to more tech-savvy people like my friend Roman. You like the mic is way better? Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, my friend. I want to tell everybody about that. I need to brag on it a little bit because longtime friend and longtime supporter of the program, Mr. Michael Stone, the man called Stone, he sent some things this way. Hey, what's up, man? Okay. Boston Cherry FTP. Cool. We got Carrie on board. We got Roman. We got Emmy. We got Joel, Aaron. All the usual suspects showing up early, man. I appreciate that. Shares Facebook and Twitter. Yeah, share on Facebook and Twitter, even though I'm currently banned from Facebook. It's a thing. And it definitely cuts into my audience share, man, because a lot of people got on board with this thing when I was still just on Facebook and hadn't moved over to the YouTube thing. And it was my own fault for becoming too dependent on one format, too dependent on one outlet. That was my bad because, anytime you don't have 6 ways in and 12 ways out, they can take it away from you. Big tech giveth and big tech taketh away. And we all know how that works. Some of us know better than others. Roman, I'm looking at you. But anyway, we've got a nice little Logitech webcam to replace the onboard webcam on the laptop. I like that we can do it very, very low tech and very basic, but these little things, again, we're not in a full production studio, obviously, but little things help. Sound quality helps. It's a bonus. So I'm pretty happy about it. I can't complain. I mean, I could, but who the fuck is listening, right? I mean, besides you guys, and you guys are on the same page with the complaints, so I don't guess it really matters. It's just like, y'all are just echoing it, man. Don't encourage me. Yeah, Bart, you go ahead and gripe, man. Keep griping. Let it ride. But anyway, the sound quality and video quality vastly improved. You guys that know that have been on from the beginning. Once again, the bumper music, Older No Wiser, a little band called Red Desert from the burned out, smoldering ruins of Minneapolis, Minnesota. That is a jam, dude. And I don't know if you've looked up any of the rest of their stuff. I don't know if any of you guys have been inspired to go check out any of their material, but you should, man. I mean, it's just some straight ahead gut stomping rock and roll. We could get into set tripping debates about what this genre is, whether it's more doom or more stoner or whatever, whether it's, old guy van rock or, what the fuck ever. But I don't know. I think it's a jam. And we've been using this bumper music now for like a year. And I like the man. Red Desert. Check them out. Name of the track is Older No Wiser, because every week I get a little bit older. And every week you guys get to decide if I'm any fucking wiser. Some weeks more than others. Thanks first off to Mike. Well, thanks to Michael Stone. Before I get into that, let me do this because again, we're experimenting with different features here, and I'm learning my way around StreamYard. So let's play with some of this stuff. First of all, some of our sponsors. I would like to thank Roman and Ali and Roxy and the fine bunch of folks over at opiumtales.com. Yeah, we finally got a banner. How about that? I'm figuring this thing out. But anyway, yeah, over at opiumtales.com, they are the erotic pinups and portraits people. Roman is blessed in the way that he gets to be surrounded by naked women and get paid for it. He is the drinker with a painting problem, quote unquote, but his testosterone driven commentary never ceases to amaze. And he's also one of my oldest and dearest friends. So thank you, Mr. Roman. And of course, Casey and Dusty Tellison, my Viking brothers, over at Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. They are an independent business there in the Evergreen State, and our bitch-ass Governor Inslee is still trying to keep the lockdowns going. So anytime my Viking brothers, Casey and Dusty, are out, get out and support them. And I want to give a special shout-out to Casey in particular. You know that, and you've heard me discuss this on the program before, Casey is a Marine combat veteran, saw gunner. Harkening back to this fella, if you can imagine Casey in a combat zone, but he has just released his book. It's called Freaks of a Feather. You can find it online. You should go find it online. It's getting stellar reviews. I got to look at an advanced copy of the manuscript, and he is beyond gifted as a writer, and he has a knack for being able to pull you in. And coming from real world experience, man, a fucking combat vet like that, and a razor intellect, you definitely want to check that out. So Casey, congratulations on your new book. I've seen all the reviews that you're getting from some pretty stellar figures, and fuck it, man, you've earned every inch, and I appreciate you being there, and I appreciate who you are and what you've done, and congratulations on getting the book out and getting it published. And here's to much bigger and better things, because that little piece of literature that you have put together deserves every bit of badass press that it's no doubt going to get on down the line. So thank you to Casey Tellison, and of course both of the Tellison brothers from Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. So did you guys, for the sake of whoever's on there, so the overlays are coming through quick. We got the Nordic Smoke, we got Opium Tales, we've got different ones that I can click on over here. And again, I'm still learning my way around the interface, so this will get better as time goes on. And the quality was vastly improved by a little gift from a certain Mr. Michael Stone here. This Logitech webcam. I mean, it can do panoramic, it can do everything, but like the actual quality, I haven't even gotten in and fucked with any of the settings with this damn thing. But the clarity, it's like Jesus. Emmy was on yesterday when we were doing the test, and she said that on the 46-inch TV, she could count my beard hairs. I don't know if anybody on the planet really needs to see me with that kind of clarity, but good. Yes, Casey Tellison, Freaks of a Feather at Lactae Books. Yes, and he went with a small publishing house out of Spokane, Washington, rather than one of the big publishers, which was a conscious choice on his part. It's not that he couldn't have been picked up by the big publishers. In fact, some of the early manuscripts that came out of that book were picked up by none other than the New York Times and published. It's quality fucking writing, and it will pull you right in. So please definitely check that out. Right, does any chance to shy away from the political stuff? Emmy, get out of here. You know better than that. Ranter bait away, sir. Yes. I like it. And we got brother Ryan Jenkins on board, I just noticed, and Ariella jumping into the mix right here at the end. So Ryan, I'm glad you're here because we are going to continue with the segment, Ryan's Internet Rabbit Hole. Again, we're not going to really take a deep dive down that rabbit hole, but I'm just going to throw this out as a little poke into your bread oven, and you guys can do the homework, because otherwise you're going to do what I always do, and I get wrapped up in the fucking thing, and I wind up losing sleep because I got to go all the way to the end of the goddamn rabbit hole. But Ryan's rabbit hole of the week this week is a little bit of quantum physics. Einstein's spooky action at a distance spotted in objects almost big enough to see. Now, of course, because it's Ryan, he went with the obscure and the esoteric. I'm just going to give you a basic breakdown, and I'm going to leave it to you. But one of the stranger aspects of quantum physics is a thing called entanglement, that if you observe a particle in one place. And again, right now, immediately when I said particle, some of your eyes started glazing over, and the other ones kind of perked up. This is why I just throw it out there and I let anybody who's interested go and do their own thing with it. I'm not going to push. I'm not going to hold back, but just throwing it out there, and you guys can take it and run. But anyway, even if you're observing a particle, other particles, even light years away, will actually change its properties. And it's one of the funky things about quantum physics. And again, quantum physics itself is its own rabbit hole. But Albert Einstein, I'm pulling up a quote, or was pulling up a quote, but he colorfully dismissed the whole thing. The ability of separated objects to share condition or state as spooky action at a distance. Now, you can enter that as a search term in your little Google window and go as deeply down that rabbit hole as you wish to go. I'm going to encourage you to at least dip your toe in the pond. How far you wish to follow that rabbit hole, that's going to be up to you. Not everybody can be the pioneer of encyclopedia esoterica that Ryan Jenkins is. You see what China just did with it? We're going to get to China, Ryan. Stop beating me up right now. God damn it. I'm trying to get through this thing. But yeah, Mr. Wright, cool. Glad that you made it. All right. It's a 65-inch TV. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Emmy. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize we were going the size queen route, but okay, cool. We'll roll with it. So anyway, yes, spooky action at a distance. That is your search term for Ryan Jenkins' obscure esoteric rabbit hole of the week. Enjoy, take it and run with it. Ryan, I know you're going to send me another one. I know you're going to send me off on another tangent this week. I know it's coming, so I don't have to ask for it. I don't have to, I don't have to put any advance notice in. I just know that at some point I'm going to get a text message delivered to me that's going to send me down this obscure fucking esoteric, holy shit, what the fuck is going on over here hole. And I'm just going to have to roll with the punches, and that's that. But it's always entertaining, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. So we will entertain it. I love you, bro. Emmy, I would address that, but too easy. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Reyes, man, glad you're here. Yeah, you got to see the test on that too before we actually got to try any of this stuff out. So let's move on to the less esoteric and more material things. Is everyone tired? Have we all had enough? Have we all had enough of this mysterious contagion that somehow is the most lethal goddamn thing on the planet, but yet can somehow tell time, know its own location, only attacks in doorways, only attacks under certain social situations, actually has a preference for religions, apparently, and has been done. Yeah, we could do it as a sponsor slot, Ryan. Get with me, man. But yes, this vicious contagion. And I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole either, because as Ryan brought to my attention early in the days, this thing kind of came off like the COVID cast. That was like the lead thing that we were talking about when we started doing this a little over a year ago. But dude, it's run its course, and we're all kind of sick of it. Places are pulling mask mandates. Nobody even gives a shit anymore. Some people, you have the Stasi Karens, hashtag Stasi Karen. That's another thing that I should put over here in the banners is, because I've got that one. I've got Truthcock, hashtag Truthcock, but I don't have Stasi Karen or Get Off My Rock or any of those other ones. So we'll leave that one here, hashtag Truthcock. But, people choking on that Truthcock. This thing has run its course, both as a disease and a psychological warfare instrument and every other goddamn thing. People are over it. Anyone with two brain cells left to rub together are over it, except for the Stasi Karens and the control freaks. I wouldn't be too bent out of shape about this, but the hypocrisy has just gotten so fucking out of hand. Now, you guys that have followed my adventure, I'm up here in Iowa now. Iowa is treating it with the amount of common sense that you would pretty much expect from even a big city in the Midwest. They don't have the same mentality as places like Wisconsin or, God forbid, Gretchen Whitmerburg in fucking Michigan. Don't even get me started on this bitch. But we walk around now without masks. They still have the signs in the front. We require masks while walking around in whatever the Casey's convenience stores or the Walmarts or whatever, they still have the signs up requiring masks. I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You walk right past them. I think I've had, in the course of the last 4 weeks, I think I've had one time where I've walked past a person. They're like, hey, can you pull your mask up? You know, I have my little neckband gaiter that I wear because it's cold as fuck up here. Even now, especially early in the morning, but I'll have my neck gaiter down. It's like, hey, can you pull that up? But like on days that I'm not wearing the neck gaiter because of the weather, nobody even asks. I guess they just saw it sitting on the neck and went, hey, can you pull that up? Because that's a mask and we need one. And what the fuck ever. It's happened to me like once in the last 4 weeks. And people just walk, as I did, just kind of walk by, a smile and nod, like, yeah, Sparky, whatever, you know, and going about your business. We've had it. But they are milking it. Good God, they are fucking milking it. Haven't worn one since early March, says Roman. Yes, well, good. You know, fucking that's the way that poor Canada. Yes, also poor Canada. Good Lord. And let's talk about that for a minute. Again, I don't want to go too far down this. We're not going to turn this into the COVID cast again, but we're at that weird fucking point where we've all had enough. We're all fucking over it, right? But the control mechanism and the Stasi Karens that just can't wait. Look at me, I'm good. I'll do what I'm told. I follow the rules. Meh. You know, they don't want this thing to end. They don't want this thing to end. It's got nothing to do with anything. I'll post that up. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Wright. Yeah, pop on over and somebody help out Mr. Wright on that if you could. Got the comment down there, please. Yes, help him out. He's looking for a spot up there in Fort Worth. Anyway, so here we are in the Midwest, and it's coming down. And I stumbled on COVID hypocrisy from heritage.org, and you guys can look this up. And again, I need to start making banners instead of just, you know, speaking this kind of stuff, but a whole list, case by case, of the COVID hypocrisy. And what we are finding out is that in states that have been roundly condemned by the national media, keep in mind, never lose sight of the fact that the national media is the propaganda arm for the power structure, a power structure that includes our cadaver-in-chief, Joe Biden, stumbling from one poor interview and one reading of a teleprompter to another. It's sad. It would be sad if it weren't so sinister, if they didn't have the stroke to actually enforce a lot of this shit. But you can find it on heritage.org/data-visualizations, public-health, COVID hypocrisy. Just look up heritage.org COVID hypocrisy, and it will rip you off a whole list of the people that are pushing this the hardest, that get cold fucking busted violating their own rules. April the 19th, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, grad in fucking Lansing, this cunt. Jesus Christ. I mean, how can you look at somebody like Gretchen Whitmer and not just be powerfully disturbed on a deep visceral level? There's something characteristically android about that face. Like, no one is supposed to look like that, even with the amount of makeup that she's no doubt spending her money to have a professional apply. And that professional applying the makeup in question is no doubt unmasked in the process. But the point being, my God, how can you look? There's some things. What is it? Ryan, help me out here. The rule where it's like, if it's close to human, but not quite human, people find it disturbing. That's why people are creeped out by baby dolls. What is the principle? It's escaping me right now. But I look at Gretchen Whitmer and I feel that. April the 19th, travels to Florida for family visit after advising citizens not to travel, blames travelers for case surge in Michigan, which, by the way, hasn't materialized. Governor Gavin Newsom says he can relate to the struggles of remote learning for California citizens, but his kids have been going to private school in person for months. This goes on. And Newsom, of course, is a repeat offender. Does indoor bill signing ceremony at a restaurant closed to indoor dining. Newsom again. Whitmer again bans outdoor gathering of 25 plus, then attends inauguration festivities where it's a gathering of 25 plus. Whitmer again. Deborah Birx, who lost her rising star right along with St. Fauci because she was sticking with the party line, and then went and visited her family on Thanksgiving. And again, going back, Kate Brown from Oregon. Cuomo cancels Thanksgiving plans with non-household family after backlash, but it took the backlash to get it there. We've got Pelosi on this list. We've got Lori Lightfoot. We got Newsom again, on and on and on and on and on. I encourage you to take a look at this, not because it's going to be any kind of new information for you guys, but just to reinforce, no matter fucking what, you're right. You're right. Don't let the nonstop pulse pounding propaganda coming from the non-Fox media convince you otherwise. Don't fucking doubt yourself. You're right. You're right. Not these idiots that want to tell you how to live. Yes, I'm fucking copping Bill Hicks right now, but goddamn it, you're right. You're right. Not these other people who want to tell you how to think and how to live. You're fucking right. And that's just another little treasure monk, preach it, crusher. Thank you, brother Jeff Truitt. We got to. Oh my goodness, man, we got to get you on. We got to get you on this program one of these fucking days. Yeah, please go out and check out brother Jeff Truitt's site on YouTube, Treasure Monk. Look him up, Treasure Monk. He's out there with a metal detector, finding cool shit and living a cool adventure, and that's a really cool thing. So anyway, I segue from that into the COVID thing. Again, they will keep pushing the restrictions, even though the evidence is out there. DeSantis has opened the fuck out of Florida, and Florida is doing just fine. Abbott has opened the fuck out of Texas. Texas is doing just fine. Cases are plummeting. Economy is booming. And every fucking myth that they sold you is falling to the wayside. That is the sole reason why they had to push this control mechanism as long and as loudly and as hard as they did. Because the minute there's one crack in the armor, the whole fucking myth falls apart. The minute one person steps out and goes, hey, this is all bullshit. Oh, wait, let me fucking put that up. Trip Club 6 is if you are not vaccinated. That's and how they think you should be shot and killed. Wow. That's wild. Yeah, people are committed, man. People are fucking committed. Kill yourself if you are not vaccinated, and how they think people should be shot and killed. This is, and it seems like hyperbole, but people really feel this fucking way. This is the intensity of fear that's been generated. And again, all it takes is one person saying, fuck you, I'm not going to be afraid. Do we remember The Emperor Wears No Clothes? Right? You remember The Emperor Wears No Clothes? That old tale where all the yes men surrounded the emperor and said, yes, this great coat of many colors that they've made for you is a beautiful thing. It's the most beautiful, regal, kingly robe that's ever been made. And it's in a parade. And all it took was one kid in this fable, one kid in this fairy tale, a little 6-year-old kid who really didn't know that he was supposed to be afraid of the king. He just didn't know any better. A little 6-year-old kid steps out and goes, wow, the emperor's fucking naked. And as soon as one voice had the balls to get out and go, dude, you're fucking naked, it all fell apart. Everybody laughed at the king, and, no one lived happily ever after. It's been a while since I've read this fucking fairy tale, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You have to be the one. You have to be the one that, in spite of what your friends, or in spite of what your family, or in spite of what the media fucking tries to pound down your throat, you've got to be the one. In California, a man was arrested. And this is where, again, they're going to use first of all, who the fuck, given the low lethality of this, and given the very restricted lethality of this, again, people over the age of 70 with 2 to 4 comorbidities, for young, healthy people, this is not a thing. It's just fucking not. No matter how you want to twist it up and do your little hashtag intellectual gymnastics, it's not a fucking thing. If you are young and otherwise healthy, guess what? You're probably not going to get it. And if you do, you're almost certainly not going to die from it. Simple as fucking that. It's fucking true. Sorry, but there it is. In any case, there should be no need for these vaccine cards, but people are making them. People are making fake vaccine cards. This guy got busted for forgery. WBUR.org/NPR/whatever. California man arrested in suspected fake COVID-19 vaccine card program. And he was arrested for forgery. He was selling the bogus cards for $20, selling them in person. And of course, dozens of people are doing it online. Now, this isn't going to be held up as as an example of why these fucking regulations are pointless in the first fucking place, because there's all kinds of ways to work around them. This is going to be held up as why we have to have some official, federal, digital, electronic, verifiable means of vaccine verification. Reject it. Ultimately, reject it. No matter what, reject it. It's fucking pointless. Wake me up when it's an airborne filovirus. Oh my God, it's the Reverend Bart drinking game. Every time he says airborne filovirus, you have to take a shot. And inside of 30 minutes on this rant, you're going to be fucking dead. Of alcohol poisoning, not an airborne filovirus. But yeah, trust me. As far as threat assessment goes, you people who have known me all your fucking lives and all my fucking life, including my buddy Moses Baxter out there. Thanks again for holding it down for me on Facebook, Mo. I appreciate you. But guys like that have known me all your fucking life, you know that when it comes to realistic threat assessment, the one that I've prayed for, the world ender that I've always prayed for, an airborne filovirus, Marburg, Ebola, Lassa, something in the filovirus family, one of those nasty hemorrhagic fevers that makes people bleed out of their fucking eye sockets. Now, if we were dealing with something like that, you would see me, well, actually, you wouldn't see me at all. My ass would be locked the fuck away, masked up in an undisclosed location, waiting for the fucking infected to try to beat down the doors and ready to clip every goddamn one of them with whatever ammo I had left. This is not that, boys and girls. This is not that. This is not anywhere close to that. I asked for a world ender, and instead we got a prison bitch. What do you mean by prison bitch? Well, uncanny valley hypocrisy. Okay, uncanny valley. Thank you, Ryan, for that. Ebola is as gross as a bubonic plague. Mask of Red Death. True, Mr. Roman. True. But again, I asked for a world ender and we got a prison bitch. Prison bitch in the sense that it was badass enough to have committed a felony, but once it gets to the unit, you're not exactly running D block, are you, Captain COVID? No, sir. You're on the bottom bunk. You're making a motherfucker's coffee and washing his socks. And wearing your pants really low. Anyway, sorry, fucking my penitentiary people take it and run with it. So that's where we're at. But enough about that. That's as much time as I'm going to spend on this thing. Reject it. Reject any of the measures that they're telling you to try to place yourself under any further restriction, because at this point, there is no justification for it. Fucking none. Every place that remains locked down has the highest number of cases. Every place that is observing this fucking madness that they have been sold from the beginning are still feeling the effects of it, and the people are still under fucking draconian lockdown measures. Their economies are fucking collapsing. It's almost as if this thing were engineered for that very, very thing. But I don't want to go down, I don't want to get all conspiratorial on you. But all the places that have had the balls, more to the point, all the places that have had the guts and all of the leaders that have had the balls to go, you know what? This is bullshit. We're going to do something different. What happened to them? What happened to them? They were roundly screamed at. They were decried. They were referred to as Neanderthals. Do we all remember that? That wasn't that very fucking long ago, was it? This is Neanderthal thinking, and Texas is going to, we're going to see this spike, and everyone in Texas is going to be dead. And all the videos on Twitter, oh my God, Abbott suspended the thing, and we're all going to die. In Florida, my God, even worse. But governors like DeSantis and Abbott have had the balls to step up and go, you know what? Fuck this. This is dumb. I'm not going to do this just because you fucking say so. We're not. We're going to do it a different way. And if we're wrong, we're going to have to own that. And that is the thing. They were correct. And they should be being lauded and praised right now. But that's not the narrative. That's not the narrative. Anybody with any reflection of honesty would have to admit that cases are lower, economy is booming, everything is humming along. Anybody with any sort of honesty or integrity would have to admit that. And they'd be saying, hey, man, you guys are awesome. We were fucking wrong. We thought you guys were going to cause a spike in cases and a spike in deaths. And we thought the people of your state were going to be in a bad way because of decisions that you'd made. And you know what? We were wrong. We were wrong. Your cases are going down. Your deaths are going down. Your economy is wide the fuck open. You guys are hiring. Everybody wants to live where you are. We were fucking wrong. We're sorry. How can we be a part of the movement to return common sense and fucking sanity to the American public? That's what people would be saying. But that's not it. That's not where they're going with it. And they're going to continue this fucking thing. Troglodytes. Joey, the Sultan of Sarcasm. I'm glad you made it, buddy. Neanderthals greater than troglodytes. Absolutely. Hashtag troglodyte. We need that. Maybe I'll put that in when we're doing the banners and such. Speaking of banners, let me go. For those of you guys who are following on the bottom, this is the rest of my social media feed. That little ticker along the bottom if you guys want to keep up with me on any of the other formats that haven't kicked me off yet. So we're going to move that. So back to relevant threats. Kirk Voigt, voter ID is still racist, but vaccine ID is fine. Yes. Again, the hypocrisy continues. But if it weren't for double standards, these motherfuckers would have no standards at all. And Kirk, you'll like it because I'm getting ready to go into some Antifa bashing coming out the back half of this. So what is the one central thing that the greenie weenies, the environmental movement, what is the one thing that they hung their hats on that terrible, bad orange man pulled us out of because he was exercising common sense and understood the actual economic ramifications of it? What have we heard? One of the things that I liked about Orange Man, and again, I did not support the man. I did not vote for him in the 2016 election. But you got to give credit where credit is due. And I don't care if that short dick's every cannibal on the Congo or hair lips every hillbilly on Bear Creek. Facts are facts. He was the first president to, at least in my adult life, to have seen China properly for who and what they are to the United States. And that is an adversary, economic, political, military. You fucking name it. They are an adversary. They are not a competitor with whom we should politely compete and try to get along. They are not people who, hey, we'll do our thing and you'll do ours. They want us crushed. They want us dead. They are an adversary in every fucking measure of the word. So what is the big thing that Orange Man pulled us out of? The Paris Climate Accord. Why did he pull us out of the Paris Climate Accord? Because unlike people who go purely off of feelings and purely off of fucking emotions, the Paris Accord, we're saving the planet. We're reducing carbon emissions. Oh my God, he pulled us out of the Paris Accord, and that thing was put together to save the planet and reduce carbon emissions. And oh my God, we're all going to die in 12 years, and the polar ice caps are going to, whatever, right? It had the anticipated and the intended response. People reacted to it viscerally and emotionally without taking a good look at exactly what was involved in the Paris Climate Accord. And this is the thing with regard to the Paris Climate Accord. When Orange Man pulled us out, and over the 4 years that we were pulled out of the Climate Accord, guess what? We were the only original signatories out of all the developed nations, out of all the developed industrial nations that signed on to the Paris Accord. We were the only ones that actually made and exceeded our emissions reduction. Wow. It's almost like we can put things into place and do this without having to be signed on to an international treaty that requires us to pump millions of dollars at our economic adversaries. It's almost like we can do it all on our own. No mandate required, no law required. It's almost like we've got the wherewithal to do these things. And so that's what we fucking did. Ain't that great? Yes. And here we are. 4 years later with Biden, our cadaver in chief, signing us back onto the Paris Accord. And it comes out this week, not from those crazy right-wing lunatics over at Fox News or One America News or Newsmax or any of these places. Not from those guys. No. What we all know when people say, when we ask our left-leaning friends, where do you get your news? Where do you get your news? Where do you go? Now, we know that they go to CNN and MSNBC. We know that secretly they're big fans of that Maddow guy. We know this. But they'll never tell you that. They'll never tell you that point blank to their face. They try to highbrow your ass. They try to say, well, I listen to NPR. Yeah, I get my news from NPR. Or the really highbrow motherfuckers will try to slide it in. They want to go in the international flavor. Oh, I get my news from the BBC, because state-controlled UK media is always more objective than an independent press. First off, but again, they want to highbrow you. Okay, get my news from the BBC. Well, those crazy right-wing lunatics at the, wait for it, scrolls cards, BBC report, and this was this week, 2 days ago, report in the BBC, report China emissions exceed all developed nations combined. That's right, boys and girls, China's emissions exceed all developed nations combined. Now, some of us have been screaming this for fucking years and been ridiculed and called earth haters, or, we want to kill the planet, or we're science deniers and these things, but guys, you can look this up. BBC report. I'm just going to give you the search term. You look it up yourself. BBC report. China emissions exceed all developed nations combined. That means that of all the developed nations, all the signatories to the original much vaunted Paris Climate Accord, guess what? Greenhouse gas emissions, China leads, US, India, the EU, Indonesia, Russia, Brazil, and Japan combined. That's right. China has vowed to reach net zero emissions. They have vowed by 2060 with a peak no later than 2030. But in the meantime, guess what, suckers? We're still signed on to the Paris Accord. And according to the Paris Accord, the rules of the Paris Accord, none of those carbon emission rules apply to the Chinese. Why? Because they are still a quote unquote developing fucking nation. Right. So Biden, who is entirely compromised to the Chinese, do not fucking kid yourselves. Do not ever lose sight of that fact. He is entirely fucking compromised, and we all fucking know it. He signed us back into the Paris Climate Accord, and here we are now funding this bullshit thing again, just like with the World Health Organization, which ran interference for the Chinese, who are our adversaries, ran interference for the Chinese at the start of the COVID fucking outbreak. We're signed right back on now. We're funding the World Health Organization, which is compromised to the Chinese. We're funding the Paris Climate Accord, which shamelessly favors the Chinese. Why? It's almost as if our leadership were compromised and playing right into it. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Something else that happened this week. Fucking just yesterday, today, and this report was just updated on said breakdown. Just so you know, cyber attack shuts down the U.S. fuel pipeline jugular. Biden was briefed. The incident is the most disruptive digital ransom operations ever reported, and it's drawn attention to how vulnerable U.S. energy infrastructure, remember that word infrastructure, it's going to be important later, is to hackers. A prolonged shutdown of the line would cause prices to spike at gasoline pumps ahead of peak summer driver season, a potential blow to U.S. consumers and the economy. What are the chances that he's going to come out and blame Russia for this? Huh? I'm going to say probably 90 to 100%. He's going to come out and try to put the blame on Putin and company for this. But who is the most technologically capable of such a thing? And again, we can all admit that to ourselves, can't we? Or at least those of us who aren't, beholden, who aren't one of the faithful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Cybersecurity industry sources said cybersecurity firm FireEye was brought in to respond to the attack. FireEye declined to comment. U.S. government bodies, including the FBI, said that they were aware of the situation, but did not yet have details of who was behind the attack. Now, much like the way they don't report the race of the aggressor in an anti-Asian hate crime unless he fits the narrative, you can bet your fucking ass that if Russia had been behind this, it'd be all over the papers by now. But we're going to find out that they were not. We're going to find out that that was our adversary. Who was our adversary again? Oh, right. The one that we signed on to as signatories of the Paris Climate Accord. These are things that are going on the international scene. And these are things that we are wide the fuck open vulnerable to because we have a president that is entirely compromised. Don't let people talk you off this point. Be aware. Now, the Stop Asian Hate thing, that's a pretty crafty way That's a pretty crafty way to get people to shut up about the fact that the virus originated in Wuhan and all these other relevant factors. It's a good thing, it's a good thing to try to shape the narrative like that. Fine, it's cool. Don't let them talk you off the relevant point. If it's a relevant, factual, provable truth. Yeah, there you go. And Ryan, I'm going to post that just real quick. But again, we can't lose sight of the fact that these people are our fucking adversaries. Internationally speaking, these people are our adversaries. And look at the amount of control. I'm going to spend a whole sermon on this one of these weekends, perhaps even next weekend, from Spokane, Washington. I will be back at home in Spokane next weekend, and maybe that will be the time when I'm in my home environment to spend with that. But these are the things that are going on the international front. Don't let people talk you off of this. Don't let people play to emotions. They've got to be based in reality. Ryan Jenkins, if you don't mention buoyant slat during fixing the earth climate, you're intellectually dishonest. And again, buoyant slat, there's another search term that you should pop into your Google search engine or DuckDuckGo or whatever the fuck you're using and learn about that kid. That kid is actually changing the world, as opposed to Scoldylocks, the fucking doom goblin. How dare you? Who's essentially just an aspy teenager throwing a fucking temper tantrum. But Buoyant Slat is actually changing the world, so check that out. Ryan, always thanks for being here and thanks for chiming in with that stuff, because sometimes I get so busy on a fucking rant that I forget. Could have something to do with the liquid enthusiasm. I don't know. Anyway, so the electric lemonade's got my hostility fueled. Let's get into some domestic stuff, shall we? Let's pull it out of the depths of the things that we're getting depressed about, and let's find some things that are going to reinforce us. Let's fucking red pill a little bit, because we don't do black pills around here. Speaking of things that we're tired of, gun control bullshit. Texas Senate passes constitutional carry bill. Let's all put our hands together right now. I want to see everybody's hands in the air for the state of Texas and their Senate passing the constitutional carry bill. Now, I'm going to be a hell of a lot more impressed when it goes back to the House and passes there and is actually signed into fucking law. Now, for those of you who have been keeping track at home, for those of you playing the home version of the we're ultimately going to win game, you've been keeping track and you know that it's the same fucking thing that it's always been. And I've never really understood this about the state of Texas. The 26 years that I lived there, and guys, please don't take this as a slag. I love the Lone Star. I would bleed and die for the Lone Star. If it ever comes down to a war for secession, I will be on the front lines defending the Lone Star like a tattooed porn obsessed David fucking Crockett. I don't care. Be on the front lines. I love the Lone Star. Texas is in my blood. Texas made me everything that I am. But god damn it, guys, you puzzle the fuck out of me. 26 years that I lived there, and early on, Ann Richards. Do we remember Ann Richards? Poor George, born with a silver foot in his mouth. That was great. Sorry, Ann. Sorry to my conservative guys that don't like the bitch, but dude, that was comedy gold. Poor George, born with a silver foot in his mouth. That was brilliant. That was the only thing that came out of that convention that was worth a fuck. But here's why we don't like Ann. And female empowerment, blah, 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 yada, yada. You fucking can't speak a bad word about her, blah, blah, blah. Hardcore Texas woman, and it's rude to fucking speak ill, whatever. When the concealed carry bill first came up, and this was back in the early 90s, and they were first trying to push for concealed carry in the state of Texas, I'm going to tell you something, man. Texas, for all the reputation that they have as the Wild West, once upon a time, and up until very, very recently in the grand scheme of things, Texas was pretty fucking tight on gun laws. When I moved to Washington State, not only was I living in a shall issue concealed carry state, all right? And this is Washington, 2013, as opposed to the Lone Star State, which is supposedly the Wild fucking West and has all these big, gunplay traditions dating back to the 1800s and all this other shit. When I got to Washington, right? Shall issue concealed carry permit. No test required, set of thumbprints, background check, shall issue, boom, I've got a Washington carry permit. And you can carry open in Washington without a permit, 2013. Texas didn't even allow open carry with a permit for 2 more fucking years. Not only that, I would go to courthouses in Spokane County, Washington, and several other surrounding areas. You can go to the courthouse and they provide you gun lockers. I'm not even fucking making this up. You show up to the courthouse, right? You've got your piece on your hip and you're saying, here is, I'm here and I'm carrying. Can you please give me, here's your thing. Here's your key, sir. Give us the claim ticket, blah, blah, blah. You go, you stick your gun in a gun locker. You go through the metal detector. You handle your business in the court. And as soon as you walk out of the court, you go to the locker, you strap your gun right back on. You were never without your own weapon of self-defense, not even for a couple of minutes until you've already passed the metal detectors and the cops are then responsible for your safety. Personally, I think that's too much, but that's me. I'm an absolutist. But think about that for a minute. I don't know of any fucking courthouses in Texas that had that as an option, right? I love you, Lone Star, and I love the fact that you are actually fucking catching up. And it is about goddamn time. Constitutional carry would be fantastic. Mike, I'm glad you made it, buddy. I know, right? It's fucking epic. It's fucking epic. It sounds fantastic. I'm loving it, man. Thank you. Can't thank you enough. Anyway, before I lose sight of the rant here, I mentioned all that about Ann Richards to say that the same things we're hearing now were the things that we heard back then. Ann Richards did not want, and in fact, this was virtually a quote here. She said that I don't think the people of Texas even want to vote on concealed carry. That's what she said. I don't think the people of Texas want to vote on that. Oh, really? Well, how about you give us a vote on that and we'll see if we really want it or if we don't. And of course, concealed carry passed with flying fucking colors, with huge fucking majorities. And what did we hear? There's going to be gunplay in the streets. It's going to be the Wild West. It's going to be a bloodbath. And we heard that forever and it never materialized. Fast forward a decade plus later, open carry. If you have a permit, it's going to be a bloodbath, and every traffic altercation is going to wind up in a fucking shooting, and it never fucking materialized. And now here we are, constitutional carry, and we're hearing it fucking again. But it's good news, people. It means that we are winning. Now, Texas, I do have something I need to spank you over specifically with regard to the Second Amendment thing. But let me go tag by tag here because I want to make sure I get all this stuff covered. Governor Abbott has declared, and again, Abbott was ahead of the curve on removing the mask mandates. Abbott was ahead of the curve on removing the COVID lockdowns. He's ahead of the curve on making Texas a Second Amendment sanctuary. Now, again, and I'm actually looking at the website for BradyUnited.org right now. So if any group of people is going to have negative things to say about the Second Amendment sanctuary cities, now keep in mind this is the same political demographic that thought that sanctuary cities for illegal immigration were just fine, something to be lauded. We have to protect human life, and as a result, we have things like the Kate Steinle shooting, where an American citizen gets gunned down in broad fucking daylight by an illegal immigrant with a stolen gun, and the toughest penalties he faced were for possession of the weapon, not for murdering a U.S. citizen. Kate Steinle, feel free to look that up. But again, sanctuary cities for illegal immigration, oh yeah, that's fantastic. It's a great thing. We're preserving the sanctity of human life and people, blah, 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 what the fuck ever. But now that we've established that precedent, and I told the immigration people, I told them, I was like, look, dude, if that's cool, if this is the precedent that you want to set to say that you can ignore federal law whenever it doesn't suit your political ambitions, don't be surprised when that shit fucking turns around on you and people decide that they're not going to enforce your particular brand of federal law. And it's never going to happen because we're going to, well, guess what? It's fucking happening. States all over the country. Let me just mention, and this is going from the Brady site, Arizona, California. Can you fucking believe it? Needles, California. Tragic place. That's where Sam Kinison died and where I spent a very uncomfortable evening sleeping in a truck. It's a long, ugly story, but Needles, California, the place where St. Kinison was killed in a tragic automobile accident. But Needles, California had the balls to stand up in the state of California, in the People's Republic of California, had the balls to stand up and go, you know what? Fuck it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it here. We're not going to enforce your bullshit law. This city is a Second Amendment sanctuary, and that's in California. How the fuck can all these other people not have the balls to do that? But it's happening. Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, places in Florida, Kentucky is an entire state. Maine, what? Lobsters and guns. Go fucking figure. Who fucking knows? But damn it, Maine, the state of Maine. Places in Nevada, obviously, Indiana, Tennessee and Texas. That old school connection. Going back all the way to the days of the Alamo. But again, I'll leave that to you. Virginia, even places in Wisconsin, and God help us, Washington State, my current home fucking state. That's right, Sheriff Ozzie. And first off, how cool is it that we have a Sheriff Ozzie? But Sheriff Ozzie flat out said, we're not going to enforce these fucking laws. We're not going to do it. We're winning. We're fucking winning, right? Now is not the time to let up. Now is not the time to rest on our fucking laurels. We've got to drive it home, because on the other hand, if they had the upper hand, they certainly would. And they're proving it day after day after day. And I use that to segue into some of the things that have gone on. All of our left-wing usual suspects. We know how that goes. Our left-wing usual suspects that jump in and create like all sorts of problems for people, and commit violence against the elderly, and justify everything with the thing that they're trying to make a better world. And if you disagree with them, you're somehow worse than Hitler. And those people, I can't. It's like a short name, and it's escaping me right now. Maybe Kirk Voigt can help me out. I just I don't know, man. I really. Anyway, so these guys, and they're very active in the Northwest, like around Portland and Seattle. So yeah, this organization, Antifa, fuck, man. Oh, dude, it was getting away from me. But yeah, Antifa, which is neck and neck with BLM. Let's say that. Again, I've always drawn the distinction. I will continue to draw the distinction between Black Lives Matter, the factual statement, and Black Lives Matter, the extortion racket, the mob. Okay, that's what it's coming down to. And Antifa are the fucking shock troops. Antifa are the shock troops, and BLM are the useful fucking idiots. Now, Texas, I got to spank you. I do. Because what have we heard from the very beginning when all that shit was kicking off in fucking Portland? What did we hear? What did we hear from Portland? What did we hear from everybody down in the Lone Star State? Oh, yeah, man, you just let them try that shit in Texas. Yeah, you let them try that shit in Texas. Guess what, motherfuckers? They did. They did, right there in fucking Plano. And you can look this up. It's anyway, just look up BLM protesters block traffic in Plano. They blocked, not only did they block fucking traffic, but a local law enforcement officer, not worth his fucking badge, actually enabled this shit. He stood out there protecting, and this is the fucking thing. I want you to focus on a word, aclocracy. Aclocracy. I want you to get that word. I'm planting that word as a seed in your head right now. Aclocracy. I'm going to plant that, and I want you to remember it because it's important to the overall point that we're fucking making here. We heard for so long, yeah, let's try. First of all, up in Portland, they're getting sick of it. ABC News did a story fucking back on May the 5th. After a year of protest, Portland residents have waning patience for Antifa. Rose City Antifa is one of the nation's oldest Antifa groups. Members rarely give interviews, but two who say they are part of Antifa agreed to speak to Nightline, as the situation in the city of Portland has become a prolonged and destructive stalemate. Rose City Antifa members Milo and Ace use pseudonyms and asked that their faces and voices be obscured for this report. We're going to get doxxed. You're not going to get doxxed. You motherfuckers are the ones that do the doxing. You're just chicken shit fucking cowards. You punk ass Antifa maggot motherfuckers. And please, by all means, dox me, man. Bring it to the fucking front door. You leftist commie fucking maggots. Sorry, I digress. But yeah, Portland's getting fucking sick of it. Mayor Ted Wheeler finally, little terrible Teddy, found his balls last week and taken a stand to it. And now the people who have basically stayed out of the way, they've been victims of this aclocracy. I want you to fucking note that word, this aclocracy. They have been victims of this. And moving forward, they have had enough. Well, now it's come to Texas. viral video appears to show police standing by while BLM protesters block traffic. You guys, some of you have already found this online, and if you have, feel free to drop in with your own commentary. This is absolute bullshit. This is bullshit. I'd like to see them try that shit in Texas. Well, they did right there in fucking Plano. And what happened? What happened? Take a look at the video. You had one guy that found his spine and his balls and got out of his car and confronted these motherfuckers. And you want to know what? You want to know what else happened? Nothing. The cop stood there enabling this shit and telling the one guy who fucking called out this obvious violation of fucking civil safety to tell him to get back in his car. And some Stasi fucking Karen jumps out of her pickup truck, hashtag Stasi fucking Karen, sorry, hashtag Stasi Karen. Some Stasi fucking Karen jumps out of her pickup truck and admonishes this guy to go back to his vehicle and starts screaming at him. It's like, bitch, you're in this with the rest of us. I don't understand what the fuck. What kind of Stockholm syndrome do you fucking have where this mob of people is allowed to just do this? And anyone who takes a stand, you make them the fucking enemy. How does that work? How can we at one point be moving so right in the direction of we're not going to be controlled anymore, so right in the direction of liberty, in the direction of we're not going to be locked down, in the direction of we're not going to fucking settle for your mask mandates, we're not going to enforce your stupid fucking gun laws, and at the same time, in the microcosm, on the local level, these things happen, and even Portland is fucking fed up with it, and yet now it's come to Texas. It's not frightening. It's disappointing. But I know that the Lone Star is going to pull it out because the spirit of that big boy that got out of his truck and was ready to fucking rumble, the spirit of that guy, that's what I see in Texas. And no amount of blue state migration, by the way, Joey, that was fucking brilliant. No amount of blue state migration is going to turn Texas to the point where they're going to forget their fucking roots. No amount. And the maggot mob, I'm talking about BLM, the useful idiots, and I'm talking about the literal maggot mob, the shock troops. No amount is going to change that. See, now we covered this a little bit last week, maybe the week before, about the root of the word democracy. The etymology of the word democracy. Demos kratia. The people, power, rule by the people, democracy. Now, I was in error and I had to check myself because essentially the people, it can come down to mob rule. But as it turns out, that same etymology has a word for actual rule by the mob. Ochlocracy. Ochlocracy. I was incorrect. Letter of the law, spirit of the law, distinction without a difference, however you want to do it. Democracy is ruled by the people. And an actual rule by the people, what we would find out if we were actually going by the will of the people, the majority of the people, just like with regard to these sanctuary laws, the people, you think it's ruled by the mob, but it's not. The people, you and me, people like us that have two brain cells left to rub together. If you look at poll after poll after poll, the people favor voter ID by huge numbers, I should point out. The people favor tough immigration restrictions by huge margins. That's the people, right? The people, by wide margins, have had enough of mask mandates. That's ruled by the people. That's legitimate democracy. Now, I know that Jefferson had issue with democracy, as well he should. Again, you've heard me say it before. It's bumper sticker philosophy, but it works. That democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting over what's for dinner. constitutional republic and liberty is a well-armed sheep contesting the fucking vote. But again, if we were in legit democracy, if it were ruled by the people, we win far and away. But it's no longer that. The administration and the policies that they're pushing, everyone that they try to drive down our throats with this nonstop propaganda machine of the United States fucking mainstream media. It's not a democracy, it's an ochlocracy. It's ruled by the mob. Their narrative and their policy and the things that they push have nothing to do with the will of the people. The people, us, me, you, the guys that get out and work for a fucking living. It's got nothing to do with that. It's ruled by the mob. The loudest members of that mob, those are the ones. Those are the ones that get all the attention. The shock troops. It's ruled by the mob. Do you really think that there are that many people on the fucking planet? And survey after survey tells us that there aren't, that support these policies, that support open borders, that support lack of voter ID, that support universal mail-in ballots. No, it's not the truth. But their perception being driven as a truth by the mainstream media is no longer democracy. It's an ochlocracy. It's ruled by the mob. But the good news is, guys, and I'm going to leave you with this, the good news, as always, is at the end of the day, we're fucking winning. We're winning. The people are fucking winning. It's hard to believe, given what the media perception is fucking steered it to, but ultimately we're winning. By every measure, we are winning. And now is the time that we got to find the strength to bring it home. We got to realize that we are the ones that actually rule. We are the people. And just like in the early days, it's not going to be an ochlocracy. It's not going to be the mob. It's going to be ruled by the people. And the people, boys and girls, the people, look at yourself in the mirror. Look into that fucking screen at that crazy, mouthy, old fucking cripple every fucking Sunday. We are the people. And we are winning. And the only thing it takes to drive this victory home is the courage to speak up. The courage to speak the truth in spite of anything that any other source has to say about it. You know, you're right. You're right. Dig deep, find the facts that back that fucking case, find the surveys, find the articles, find whatever the fuck you need, but know in your heart that you're right. And once you have established that truth, don't be afraid to speak it. That's how we win. That's how we win. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. We're buttoned up against time constraints right now. I appreciate you guys being here. Mike, bro, I cannot thank you enough for this fantastic gift. This webcam and this microphone have improved the broadcast quality immeasurably. I'm fucking loving it. It's like a difference of night and day, man. It's our first big jump in production value, and I appreciate the gift, man. And you are a dear friend, and I love you, and I wish you all the best in all of your endeavors. So I want to thank you for that. We're going to go out as we normally do, a little bit of clutch. Request courtesy of Ryan Jenkins. Again, guys, I'm going to pass around the digital collection plate. I'm on Facebook Pay. I'm on PayPal. I'm on Venmo. I'm on Cash App. I'm on all these goddamn things. If you want to drop a little coin in the purse. But if not, you know, if you don't feel like that's worth it, or if you're not in a position where you can do it, that's okay, man. I don't have a problem with that. But please get out there and spread the word. Tell them about the program. If you dig it, if you've got kindred spirits, if you've got, you know, similar minds, similar philosophies, get out there and tell people about it. But as always, the one thing you got to remember is the three primary directives, man. And we all know, man, we all got to know. Say it with me, folks. What do we have to be? We have to be the signal in a world full of noise. We got to be the light in a world full of darkness. And we've got to be that strength in a world full of weakness. Get out there and live it this week, people. Get out there and live it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, man. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. Yeah, man, we got some dark things going on. But you know what? This country And the people, remember the people that we were just talking about? Look at what we have survived, man. We saved the world twice in one fucking century. We have been a great fucking nation for a long, long time. We have survived economic depressions. We have survived civil unrest. We have survived damn near 60 years of an evil empire trying to break us down and destroy us. And we continue to weather that constant threat of international communism trying to squeeze out that last fucking spark of democracy. But we're it. We're the final stand, guys. We're the final stand, and we've survived much, much worse. So I want you to keep a positive attitude. Live heavy. Live strong. Live strong. See you guys next Sunday. Peace. I love you all, man. Thanks. Thanks for the support. I love you. See you next week.